this is just going to be a standard pickups video. I'm conscious over the past few weeks I've been doing quite a few limited edition unboxings. Don't worry, there's plenty more of those to come, but I need to kind of do some of my bread and butter pickups. Just because downstairs at home they're kind of taking over the living room at the moment. I don't know about you, but when I buy a game, it goes into a pile for me to actually test, and then it stays into that pile until I show it on a video. It's just a way for me to kind of monitor what I've actually got and what I've got to show you. But I've got to the point where I do need to show you some of those other videos. If nothing to kind of like break it up from the limited editions, because yeah, all that effort and all that focus goes into one game, rather than showing, you know, what I'm picking up all the time, really. I'll do a bit of an update as well at the end of this, but getting back into YouTube, watching some cracking videos from people that I subscribe to, and I need to do more of this myself, I think. So without further ado, I'll go through the games I've got to show. Quite a few DS games in this video. Picking up the games because they seem to be pretty cheap at the moment. A bit like the phase that the GameCube went through, when they kind of like when the Wii came out and the GameCube games kind of dropped. Same thing's happening with the DS at the moment. So I'm snapping up those titles, you know, that I've wanted for ages, but just never kind of like got around to buying because they're just a little bit too expensive. But the first game I'm going to show you is a PlayStation 2 game, and it's sitting here on the shelf next to me. And it's Metal Slug 5. Absolutely huge fan of run and guns, and the Metal Slug series is a fine example. Huge fan of the second one. Metal Slug X, which is the revision of the second game, and you know, this one, it's not as highly regarded as some of the other editions, but it was a return to form for me. It was when, you know, SNK basically wrestled their license back, and you know, redid some sprites. Didn't do the, you know, kind of the lazy cut and paste job that was done with Metal Slug 4, and kind of just brought out a solid run and gun game. It's quite tough, not as tough as 6 by any stretch of the imagination, but there are some, you know, still some great set pieces in this that you know, it's well worth checking out. Picked this up off a fellow YouTuber, and he's a very, very good guy. But he put some games up for sale. I won't mention his name because I haven't discussed with him whether he wants to me to say his name or not, so I won't bother. But you know, very, very good guy. And yeah, when these came out on the PS2, this was the one I didn't pick up because I picked up 3 and 4, and for some reason I didn't pick this one up. Don't know why. Probably just because when it came out, just a bit too expensive. I picked this up very, very cheaply. Really nice condition, and the Ignition releases and the PAL regions were really, really nice. There's a full colour manual in here. Do you know what I mean? Nice artwork. Absolute steal at the price. So I'm going to crank that up a bit later on and see how it compares to the other versions that I've played. The Wii version springs to mind, the version that's on the Anthology. But yeah, welcome addition to the collection. So onto the DS now, and I'll show you this one first. Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars. Played this quite a while ago on my friend's DS, and I've wanted it for absolutely ages, but you know, never got round to buying it. There's an enhanced version of this came out on the PSP, but I always wanted the DS version just because the game was originally designed to go on the console, and it uses kind of the touchscreen in quite novel ways when you're playing the game. Stuff like when you jack a car, you can kind of like you use this. You know, use a stylus and screwdriver in the lock to kind of like, you know, to hotwire the car, as it were, and you know, little touches like that, I think, you know, were great. It's got a really, really kind of cool storyline as well, and it's quite funny. The game's lead character's pretty kind of sarcastic all the way through the game, and lovely kind of top-down, cel-shaded graphics. It kind of doesn't try to, you know, push the machine over the edge, if that makes any sense. It plays to the strengths of the DS. Well worth picking up. I picked this up for about £7, brand new, from Amazon. Quite naughty that it came through and it was the US version, but I'm not bothered. It's, you know what I mean, it's a perfectly good copy. It's got all the mapping there and everything, so great game. I've been dipping in and out of this as I've been going to work on the train, so welcome edition. And then just dirt cheap. And next DS game, actually I'll save the rest of the DS games for the last lot of games, because there's 3 titles in here that are very, very good. Right, next game's the next 2 games are 2 games that I've been after for a long time. First game is, there we go, Disruptor. Basically it's a Doom clone, and the thing that kind of really stands out for this is the intro sequence. It's like a proper crappy, cheesy 3DO FMV video, and it's really kind of some really over the top acting, some really bad dialogue, but you know, it's subtly charming, and the game itself plays really, really well. Actually, it's a good Doom clone. It's got a few original ideas of itself, but yeah, if you like kind of flat bitmaps, then it's a cool game. It is. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Nice artwork as well. I've always kind of quite admired the artwork on this game. And for some reason, it used to be really quite kind of, you know, expensive to buy. But I picked this copy up dirt cheap. It used to sell for about £9 or £10, but yeah, picked it for about £2.50 or something like that. Welcome addition to the collection, and you know, long time overdue. Okay, when I talk about, you know, games that I've wanted for a while, this is one that I've wanted since I played it all those years ago on the console, and it's there we go, Super Street Fighter 2 on the 3DO of all consoles. That's not the actual full title, actually. It's Super Street Fighter 2 X, and it's got a Grandmaster Challenge subtitle on the actual back of it, so yeah, it's got it on front as well. Okay, yeah, anyway, whatever it's called, this is the Japanese version. Picked this up for, oh god, it was £7 including P&P from Japan. I believe that the PAL version's got exactly the same cover, so I don't think you're gaining anything kind of like, you know, art-wise there. But as you can see on the back of it, it's got all the there we go. It's got the Japanese labelling on the back. Yeah, I never had a 3DO when they came out. I've got a friend that used to work in a computer shop when we were at school, and he used to get access to all the consoles at a pretty generous staff discount. So 3DO was one of the consoles that he had. Now you're probably wondering why I've brought a 3DO game when I haven't got a 3DO, or shown you picking up a 3DO. I've got one. I've had one since January. I've just not got around to putting on a video. I think that kind of is an indication about how much of a backlog that I've got. 3DO pick-up vid would be kind of like, yeah, it'd be quite a long one because there's quite a few games to show you. But when I saw this deal, I had to get it, just because, you know, I remember it playing being the definitive version at the time. It kind of absolutely wowed me after playing the Super Nintendo version of the original, and then playing Super on 3DO, even though it had the handicap of actually having the 3DO controller, which is not the greatest in the world. It's pretty goddamn functional. graphically and yeah, kind of playability wise, it's still stood up. I mean, graphically it was pretty amazing for the time, and the soundtrack, the CD soundtrack, was like nothing else. Now I'm looking at this game through rose-tinted spectacles, and when I actually do crank this up, I'm sure I'm going to be slightly disappointed. But you know, it's a good one to have for the collection. Full colour manual, some nice artwork in there. There's not a lot, to be honest, but the disc's nice, and you know, there's a nice picture of Akuma on there as well. So you know, welcome addition to the collection. There's 2 other video games that I actually want on the console, which I'm going to be I'm still looking to get. Samurai Showdown, for similar reasons to this, and Return Fire as well. And neither of them are, you know, incredibly expensive, so I'm sure I'll pick them up at some point. So yeah. Right. Next. Last 3 games to show you are all DS games. And which one shall I show you first? Right, I will show you this one. There we go. Okami Den. This one has been a nightmare to get, just because it's been so expensive. I saw it on Amazon for a long time for around about £23, £24 mark, which I still thought was pretty expensive for a DS game. But I got a dawning realisation that £23 price was an alright price. But as soon as I had that realisation, yeah, that's when it's more expensive. I've only ever seen this out and about once in my travels, and it was a used copy, and it was around about £20 mark without instructions. And subsequently, I found out that it's quite a low print run. Yeah, and it goes for a premium because lots of people want to play the game. The PAL version's not as nice as the Jap version. I don't think, kind of like, you know, art-wise. You know, I'm kind of like into my art, which I know quite a few of you are as well. But it's still got gorgeous artwork. It is really nice. Unfortunately, the manual's in black and white, but there are some lovely bits in there. I mean, stuff like that. I always wanted the the art book that Capcom released, because the artwork is beautiful in the series. It works really, really well. From what I've seen, I played a little bit of this, and the intro sequence is really nice, and they've played through the introductory part to the game, and it plays very much like it's Big Brother, on the PS3 and the Wii. It's had 2 releases as the same game, if that makes any sense. But one, if you see it for a reasonable price, snap it up, because I think it's just going to get it's not going to go down in price. So if you see it, yeah, snap it up. Huge fan of the original. And the touchscreen works really, really well. If anything, I think the touchscreen kind of works better than the Wii controller, which I thought worked really, really, really well. A lot of people preferred the PS2 version. I preferred the Wii version, because for me it's the game it should have always been, using that, you know, the motion, the celestial brush, the motion control. But it seems to be implemented a lot nicer on the DS. So it's a slightly different. Well, it's a different game. You know, it's a different story. And I think if you're a fan of the original, you'd like it. So, very welcome addition to the collection. And I picked that up for just under 20 quid. So, for a DS game, more than I wanted to pay, but still cheap. So, yeah. Right, I'll save the biggie for last. Game I've always been interested in, and I managed to pick it up recently. It cost me less than £4. It's about £3.50, something like that, £3.60, and it's there we go. Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword. So huge Ninja Gaiden fan. Not as much the older games, but from the Xbox, you know, Ninja Gaiden Black, the original version Ninja Gaiden, and Ninja Gaiden 2. Not really played the PlayStation iterations much. I've got them, but I've just not played them. They graphically look amazing, but I love the Xbox versions and the 360 version of the second one. Nice and hard. This story is in the same universe. Kind of takes the story from an earlier stage, and from what I've played so far, I've actually played. It's a female ninja when you start out in the storyline. I've seen some screenshots this bit later on, and you do actually play as Ryu Hayabasa. That's his name, yes. But yeah, it looks great. I don't know if you can actually see some of the graphics on the back of this. I might, if I think on, stick some gameplay on. It's quite hard for me to capture it because I will be just using a HD camera on a tripod to try and capture it. But we'll see. It depends how long this video goes on for. I hadn't played this till yesterday and had a go on it, and it really, you know, for a start, you actually hold the DS the wrong way around. I will demonstrate on with the Neo Geo. Instead of holding it that way, you hold it that way, and you've got the other screen there, and the screen's that way. It's that orientation. It's portrait rather than landscape, and you actually control your character on screen via the stylus, which seems a bit strange at first, but it actually works really, really well. The backgrounds are pre-rendered like in the Onimusha and the Resident Evil series, early on. But the control system works really, really well, and I'm enjoying it so far. Graphically, it's beautiful. Lots and lots of kind of almost like hand-drawn backgrounds in there, and it's got a really nice pace to it too. And look, you can pull off amazing amounts of special moves just with the stylus. It's insane. I'm so used to playing DS games and touchscreen games where I feel impeded by using the screen, but there's a couple of games here today that have kind of proved that when it's done right, it works really, really well. But yeah, for the price, I mean, you know, for that money, you get a lot of game, and I'm just really, really pleased that it's a great entry into the series. So yeah, you see it cheap, pick it up. I do recommend it. And the last game, wow, the one I've been looking at most forward to out this lot really. Game I've waited for a long time. I remember seeing this game on reviewed in Retro Gamer magazine, and it got some rave reviews in there. I'm a huge fan of the series, and I know a lot of you are too. And it's there we go, Contra 4. So yeah, Konami pulled out all the stops with this one. I seem to remember reading somewhere that it's not actually developed by Konami, this one. Let me have a look. Yeah, I can't actually pick up how it actually is developed by, but released by Konami. Wow. It's a great game, it has to be said. Another one that I want to get an import, either from Japan or from US release. Always a bit too expensive, but you have a look on the internet now, you can get an import from America really, really cheaply. So that's what I did. I just went for the English language version, just so I can, fully appreciate the game, the plot line that goes on in it, and it continues almost straight away from from Contra 3, which is one of my top 10 games of all time. Very much the feeling of that series as well from that timeline, rather than the 3D incarnations. First level plays a lot like Gryzor, which was the arcade release of the original Contra. Yeah, graphically it looks almost identical, and you use the 2 screens as well, which is a bit weird to start off with, but you get used to it. And yeah, having that extra area adds a challenge to it, and it's not shy about a challenge, which is what you want from a Contra game, isn't it? You do want that kind of hardcore difficulty level, and that sense of kind of satisfaction when you master that level. And this has got that. Really has. This was, I got an import, including postage and packaging. It's brand new and sealed as well. £9.50. So it's kind of proof that you can kind of pick up some great games and import, and they don't cost you the earth. I've just chucked that down there. The one criticism I would have of the game is the instruction manual. It's very functional. It's obviously kind of like a I think that's about the best page. But yeah, very functional. It could have been better, but it's sometimes with some games it's about the game itself, isn't it? And it's fantastic. There's a gallery in there as well, because I mean it's the 20th anniversary version, so of a Contra game. The Contra 4 is celebrating 20 years of the franchise. There's a gallery in there of all the Contra games with a bit of an overview, and it's got box shots of the original releases in the territories, and apparently you can unlock the original Contra and is it Super C or something like that. Yeah, you can unlock the first two Contra games on it. The NES version, sorry, and it'll play in proper orientation as well on the screen. So yeah, it's great. I mean, what can I say? It's a bit of a crime it never got a PAL release, because seeing the reviews that it got online at the time, I'm sure it'd have sold pretty well in the UK. It might not have done great guns, but it'd have sold enough copies, like. So there we are. That's this video. I've waffled on for 20 odd minutes. But as I say, there's more of these to come. There's more limited editions to come. I've got another 2 projects on the go as well. I will finish the 12 months 14 shmups £1,200 project. That'll be done. I'm looking to get that title either December or January, the last title in that series, and then we'll kind of talk about bonuses. I'm sorry that's stalled. It just the dealing that I had about getting the last game, and the deal that kind of went sour, kind of put me off that whole series for a while. But I will finish it off, because a few of you have been asking about it, and it does need finishing. So yeah, that's me for now. What am I playing at the moment? Actually, let's think. I've gone back to LA Noire, playing that quite a bit. I want to finish that off, because I've got some fantastic 360 games I need to get started. Not to say that LA Noire isn't, but LA Noire is a long project I've had on the go, and I just want to get to the end of it. I want to resolve all the plot issues and see how it ends. And I'm playing Gran Turismo 5 a hell of a lot as well. I've probably gotten the most use out of that than any other game that I've bought recently, to be honest. It's certainly the racer that I've played the most, probably for a year. It's a great game. I love actually just taking photos of the cars and that. It's that it's that insane. That attention to detail, I just love it. If you have a look at my Flickr account, there's lots of kind of photos of cars on there, and that's completely and utterly obsessive and ridiculous. But yeah. Okay then. Right, so I will sign off now. More shmups, more limited editions on their way. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later. And remember, it is all about the spine cards. Thank you, see you later. Goodbye. Okay, so I promised this a little bit earlier. Let's take a look at some actual gameplay of Ninja Gaiden. I've actually got it to a point where I can actually show you some of the action, and we'll kick off straight into it. You'll notice how you kind of navigate around the screen using the stylus, and how you can implement some of the special moves. If you kind of stroke up then stroke down like that, the character will jump up in the air and then kind of do an attack down. If you kind of stroke up like that and stroke to the right, they'll do a kind of like a jump move where they kind of like crash down into the enemies. And by just doing kind of like strike moves like that, you kind of like attack the enemy. You can also kind of fire, touch points at the screen, shurikens as well. And if you press any of the buttons, you basically block. And when you press the stylus on the screen, you do kind of rolls. So I'll show you a bit of the gameplay itself. I'm sorry it's like this, but it's the only way I can kind of capture DS footage. So here we go. I hope you can see that. Probably help if I actually turn the sound on. You can see the footage is kind of like, it's paused there. Let's put the sound on, shall we? I know you're not going to get to see the actual gameplay very much, but it'll give you some idea. So there we go. I know we rock on that for the block. Yeah, the control system does work surprisingly well. Get the archer. Oh, there's another archer there. And one there. So there we go, that's that bit completed. So yeah, if I rock on there, then you block in and then you do all your rolls, and wherever you press on the screen you do the rolls. It looks fantastic though, and it does play really, really well. I hope that's kind of giving you some indication of how the game plays. It's much better when I'm not trying to actually show you this, and I can see the screen close and I can actually coordinate my moves. But I just thought I'd show you that because it's quite interesting, and as I say, I'm really, really enjoying the game. Storyline wise, it takes place just after the original game. And it's kind of forms a gap in between the first and second ones. So it's great for filling out a little bit of storyline. The first level you play as a female ninja, I think you kind of alternate between the two.